Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. My name is Alan Krowitz with InfoStream Incorporated, and today I'll be discussing disaster recovery planning. Disaster recovery planning is something critical that most firms don't do. I was going to take some time and spout a bunch of statistics about how many firms fail within 1 year of a disaster and how many firms think they can recover and never do after a disaster. But rather than doing that, let's just get down to the meat of the matter and show you how very quickly you can do a lot that could provide a great safety net for your company. Disaster recovery planning is like having a trapeze and not having a safety net. You hope you're never going to need that safety net, but if you need that net, you're really going to need that net. So, when it comes to disaster recovery planning, just start with something, and it should be a written plan. Write down even one page of a couple things that you need to know about in a disaster or to have ready for a disaster. And then over time, add more to it when you review it periodically. And fill in gaps and missing information, and over time, you'll develop a full and very comprehensive disaster recovery plan with very little effort. Now, there's two types of disasters. There's the planned and the unplanned. And you're thinking, well, how do you plan for a disaster? A planned disaster is popular in South Florida. For example, when a hurricane is coming. We know it's coming generally in advance, and we often have a couple days to prepare for it. We know what to do with the equipment, where we're going to move them, who's going to call who, when we're going to quit working, all that kind of thing. So we have a chance to prepare for it. Even then, you should have a plan in place. Where are the backups at? What are we going to shut the equipment down? Where are we going to move things to? Are we going to put garbage bags over equipment? What are we going to do? An unplanned disaster is even worse. Unplanned is when you come into work the next morning and there's fire trucks in front of your office. What would you do if your server room had caught fire? And we've actually had a scenario where clients have come in and there's fire trucks in front of their building. So, have a written plan, and it should address multiple things. The obvious thing in Florida is hurricanes. But you also want to have plans for what to do when all your data gets wiped out or the building is wiped out. Another thing you should have is to calculate the cost of an outage. How difficult would it be for your firm to be without the data for, let's say, 4 hours? What about an entire day with no power, no internet, no computers? What about a week? What about a month? So have ideas as far as how much that would cost you and how difficult it would be for the firm. You don't want to spend $100,000 on disaster recovery planning and preparation if it's not going to be that inconvenient for you. However, if you're losing thousands of dollars per hour, then you obviously want to make sure you have steps taken to prevent a major disaster or to deal with it quickly and efficiently. Obviously, when it comes to disaster recovery planning, backups are primary. So, one, be sure you're backing up everything. It's uncanny how many times we go into a business and discover they're only backing up a very small subset of data, and their most critical data isn't being backed up at all. They may think it is, but on quick analysis we discover there's all kinds of critical data not being backed up. Another common problem we discover is people who aren't checking their backups. Every day they've diligently been changing the backup tapes, they've been reviewing whatever they think they should be reviewing, and it turns out they haven't had a backup in over a year, even though they're changing tapes and doing what they think they're supposed to do. So you should be getting an actual report with the amount of time on it, and you really should have someone test it periodically to ensure you really are backing up everything. All the backups in the world won't do you any good if you keep them on site. You got to get a backup out of there. Most firms keep all their backups in the same room as their server. If that server were to have a fire in the room, which happens, or what we've seen quite a bit of is where water gets dumped from an air conditioning unit or from the roof onto that server room, if your backup's in there, there's a good chance your backup is ruined as well. So be sure someone is taking something home or rotating it to a bank vault, or do some kind of online cloud backup service. If you do online cloud, be very careful. A true cloud backup takes a very long time to get synced up to the cloud, and it's very important to get everything. Most cloud services only let you select certain folders and certain data to back up, and they don't get open databases and mail servers and things of that nature. If this is the case, you may be paying for a cloud backup service and think your data is off-site, and in a disaster you're in for a very rude awakening. So please be extra careful when it comes to cloud-based off-site or internet backups. Now, another thing about backups is there's something called the traditional file-based backup. This is programs like Backup Exec and Computer Associates, ArcServe, and things like that. They back up all the files and the folders and the data, and they may even get the entire server. However, in a simple disaster, like maybe a server crashes, it needs to be reloaded, or a hard drive fails, those kind of programs can take days to recover the server. The reason is you have to restore the Windows system to the server, restore the backup program, restore all the data. A lot of times it crashes because there's things you have to do specifically in a specific order and start all over again. One of the things we strongly suggest is to do an image-based backup. There are a couple programs out there that allow you to take a photo snapshot, basically, of your server, which allows you to restore the servers very, very quickly in a disaster. So if you have a corrupt file on your server and the server goes down, rather than being down for 2 or 3 days, often you're up within a couple hours. So I would strongly suggest you look into an image-based backup program. Very inexpensive, very powerful for disaster recovery. Now, another thing to consider is, what are you going to do after a disaster if your building is no longer there? Always have plans for a place you can go to. It can be a hotel room in another city. It could just be an idea how to have a handful of critical users online and able to function. So have a plan for what happens if your office is no longer available. Contacting employees and key personnel is going to be important. There may not be phones. There may not be an office that is functional at the time. So I would suggest the phone tree. Maybe 1 or 2 people in the firm contact 3 or 4 other people. Those 3 or 4 other people are responsible for contacting other people, and so on and so forth. Another thing you can do is have a public website that's not on your server where you can post messages. A simple Facebook page would work perfect for this, where you can post messages to employees where to meet and where to call. Then they can call you. So if you had a out-of-state phone number you could use, if you've got a answering service someplace, you could very easily have them call you, or simply check the Facebook page and have that set up for contacting key personnel. Finally, email. Email these days is becoming more important than phones and even a lot of the server data for most companies. Email wasn't that big of a deal even just a few years ago, and now it has truly become a mission-critical service. One thing you can do is move your email to the cloud. So if you have no internet, or you have no phones, or you have no office, your email is still going someplace and is readily retrievable from a web browser or from another location, or even a phone. So you can move the email to the cloud, or at least have a plan for what you're going to do should you have a disaster as far as your email goes. Anyway, a lot of information here. I could spend hours talking about disaster recovery. If there's anything I can do to help you or give you more information, please don't hesitate to contact me, and I'd be happy to help if I can. Also, I encourage you, please take a look at our newsletter at www.infostream.cc. It's completely free. We don't sell the names on the list. We don't contact people when they're not asked to, when they don't want to be contacted. But it's chock full of information, and we really try to provide a lot of free value to people who subscribe to our newsletter. Also, please feel free to send this video to anybody else you think might benefit from it, and encourage them to get our newsletter as well. Thank you again for your time, and please let me know if there's anything we can do to help you. Thank you.